So here, Deb, watch. So it starts there. We go back to. That's what I'm sharing.
But if not, would it say the part?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just good to go.
All right, 6:30, calls Community Economic Development meeting. Roll call. Annamarie is present. Mike is present. I'm present. Matt and Lori is absent. And then is she attending by electronically?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. No public comments? Approve the minutes of June 12th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Number 6, project updates. This is for staff to let us know.
Where would you like to start, Alderman?
Just get, especially these two up to date of what projects were started before they got on and
Good idea.
where that's at.
Okay, we have two main projects that were started when Community Development Director Day was here. The first would be the dispensary out at the old, the dispensary out at the old Blockbuster building. That one is, from what I understand today, in negotiations for the lease as well as the remodel of the building. That's all I know on that one at this point. It's back in the hands of the lawyers. As far as Goat Partners, which is the Harvard Nutrition goat baby milk formula company going in the industrial park, I don't have any updates on that. Our kickoff meeting is on Thursday here in City Hall with the board of directors of the company, city staff, our city engineer, and the landowners. So we won't have an update on that until after Thursday. We did discover that a grant was applied for CMAP. The city share is $5,000 to do an equitable transit plan in the downtown area. The mayor and I had a Zoom meeting with CMAP and our city engineer to discuss preliminary design on how that study is going to look. We don't really have much more information on that at this time, as well as what was in place before Donovan left was our downtown master plan. That's been put on hold for now. We did budget to have a company do that plan for us. However, this plan that we were unaware of at the time will incorporate some of those things we were going to ask for in the master plan. So there's really no need to move forward with that until the new development director has been hired and can have a chance to reevaluate what this plan is going to do versus what the master plan would do.
Yeah.
In addition, the equitable, I guess that's right.
Equitable.
Transportation grant will pay for some of the things that we would have had to pay for on our own under the downtown plan. So anything that we can defer to this plan will be covered by the grant versus the city's share. So
I have a quick question. Is the dispensary now fully licensed correctly?
unknown.
Unknown.
So at issue is the cannabis grower who has a grow license and grows in Marengo is looking to open a dispensary in Harvard. And we were told that they had a license, and then we were told that a better clarification was they were going to have access to a license, but then that deal fell through, and then they were negotiating a different license from another group. And last we knew that was under being still negotiated, as well as the lease agreement with the property owner. So until all that's sorted, don't know. I mean, yeah, that's the limit of what we know.
And then there was you've probably seen if you've been out at some of the city events, the bike pedestrian path plan people set up to do, to engage with the community. Right now, we're working on actually, we're probably in the middle, about the middle of this plan. So this is a study that's being done by CMAP. Again, this was a grant-driven project, and they're basically studying, reaching out to the community in an attempt to engage our stakeholders on where the limitations of pedestrian and bicycle routes are within the community and where they would like to see them. And at this point, I believe they've done 3 community engagements. The 4th one's going to be Day of the Dead. And they'll have one more. I believe they might be looking at setting something up for Christmas in Harvard. After they finish that engagement and they pull all the data together, they will do a final plan for us that we can actually use in conjunction with our downtown master plan, our equitable transit plan, and then the other sidewalk projects we have going on through the grants with the state. So that's in the works as well. And you actually can see that online on our website. Under Harvard on the Move, I believe it's on the homepage, and you'd be able to see where the status of that and where they're at with that.
All right, thank you.
We meet with them monthly as well for updates, and that meeting, I believe, is next Thursday. I believe it's either this Thursday or next Thursday, so we'll have another monthly update to see how well they did at National Night Out.
National Night Out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep. Other than that, I have, obviously, we signed the lease for the T-Mobile tower, so that's going to continue for the next 20 years. And the AT&T tower, I hadn't heard back from them, so I actually reached out to them on Monday to see with their negotiator where things were at. They were interested, if you recall, originally putting a tower in at our police impound building. We decided to change that location and offer them the Front Street tower. The last correspondence I had with them, they were looking at addresses on that tower as well as possible interest on Tower 2, which is up at Lions Park. I have not heard back from them since then. They would be required to do a tower rail on either of the towers and follow our new UDO on that, which would allow administrative review to go ahead and approve that permit if they decide to move forward. And then we have Verizon and Starbucks. Do you want to do an update on that?
You pull down your mic.
They both were issued permits on Friday, so they're both good to go, and see some progress there pretty soon here. It's pretty exciting.
Thank you. One quick question, because I know before Donovan was leaving, the new owners of Sullivan's, I know, has anyone tried to reach out to the owners, see if they have any interest in bringing a business in the Sullivan's own place?
I actually called the contact Donovan had a couple of weeks ago, left him a voicemail, called again last week, and it actually came to my attention today that my cell phone comes back to the name of some person down south. So I'm guessing that message was probably ignored because he didn't see or didn't know who the caller ID was. So I do have his email. I actually got it from Ann this morning to reach out to him to see if we can get an update.
Okay, thank you. Do you guys have any questions?
One other update, the owners of the former Motorola building have redeemed their taxes.
That's right, I
So-
forgot about that.
They did what?
They redeemed their property tax. So the property tax was bought by another entity. They redeemed them, so they are in good standing with the county treasurer.
I did have a question about that cannabis place.
Sure.
What would the city's revenue from that?
So the city passed an ordinance several years ago that would tax the proceeds from cannabis sales at 3%.
Okay.
Plus, there is also the 1% non-home
Right.
sales
Okay.
tax.
I knew there had to be
Plus,
something
there's
there.
the 1% sales tax that we would get from
Right,
the
right.
state.
Besides the 1%.
Yes.
Right.
So that we would get the normal 1% tax plus the additional.
So you
five
get a
total.
bonus besides the regular 1%.
Yeah, so total between the two
Five.
sales tax and the cannabis consumption tax, it's 5%.
And now consumption, so that people can smoke dope there or what?
When I say consumption, is they're purchasing it.
Well,
The-
consumption,
the-
they can consume it there. That's the way it sounds.
I did inquire with the chief
Like a bar
about
for
that.
liquor.
And so apparently it's like you can do samples possibly. It's very controlled. So it's not like you can sit around all day.
Well,
and-
I was kind of
It's
curious.
not
I
like you
figured
have
now's
a
the time to
hookah
ask.
truck.
Right. That's what I understood it to be.
Because consumption,
It's
they
very
have stuff like that in
regulated.
California, I think. but-
Right.
Well, they do have, there was supposed to be a consumption room, but then she lost her lease in Crystal Lake. That was the only one that was in the McHenry County area. I do not think that went through. And I had done some research because they had wanted to do, before I was on the board, they wanted to do a consumption room and serve alcohol, which is a big no-no, big X in the state of Illinois. So you can have a consumption room, you cannot serve alcohol. I always thought I missed the boat on that one because I thought a consumption room should be a private club because then there's a whole lot less regulation and you can kind of be like a moose. So if someone wants to steal that idea who's listening online, maybe you should talk to those guys and do something like that.
Talk to
But-
Moose.
Yeah, but there currently, as far as I'm aware, there was a license applied for a consumption room in, I believe it was Crystal Lake, Illinois, and then the person they didn't follow through on what they needed to do. So it does not exist. So if they were to have one, I think we would be the first in McHenry County.
There's some pretty tight regulations though.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just like hanging out at.
Yeah, well, I would think who would want to smoke and then go drive? Ticket.
Be surprised.
Oh, I know.
Any other discussions or questions?
Do we have an ETA for Starbucks now that they've got permits?
They
Pardon?
had
Oh,
October
I
as
thought you were
their,
talking to me.
as their scheduled date.
Okay, thank you.
End of
And
October.
Verizon wants to be done before Christmas.
Okay.
I do have one quick question for Verizon. I don't recall, and that's why I was going to ask is, do we approve them putting a sidewalk on the airport side?
We did not. They were not required to do that.
And is the reason why it's probably because of that CMAP grant thing of going?
Well, I think, generally speaking, because this is a sub parcel within a complex, generally when you're going to put in a sidewalk for something like that, that would fall on the overall complex, like when the Walgreens was built. It should also be noted that back in 2016, there was still funding available in the TIF, because at that time there was a TIF district. There was still funding available for infrastructure left in that account that we could have utilized to build a sidewalk. We actually engaged our engineers who did the plans to put in a sidewalk, both along 14 and Airport Road for that entire parcel area, and the city council voted to not do it. So that's the status.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? All right, we move on to number 7, strategic vision.
So when we had our COW meeting to discuss the strategic vision, it was suggested that going back to the committee level, we start looking at each of your categories to, in order to provide staff direction on where you wanted to go with the items that we had not yet started to move forward with. So I decided, since we were meeting for discussion, that we would throw that back on there, see if anyone's had a chance to do any thinking or research on that.
Yes, but I don't know how to implement any of the things that I'm thinking or researching on.
Well, let's talk. What are some of those things?
So my first thought when we talked about, I'm just going to start with page 1, when we talked about a vibrant downtown. One of the things that is here but not here, and I was curious to see what committee would be handling this, or if we're going to need some type of just a general something other. We talked about arts and culture. And so we don't have an arts and culture committee as far as I'm aware of.
We do not.
Okay, so that was my first thing, because I think that's something that goes across things. It's always been a passion of mine. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a big supporter of the arts, both here and in the broader community. So that was the first thing that I thought of. Arts encompass so many different things. I will give you an example. I am a member of Cliff Dwellers, which is a club in downtown Chicago. And this weekend at Cliff Dwellers, one of our very own folks from Harvard, the Dacey family, happens to be involved with the Air and Water Show, in case anyone didn't know that in Chicago. They were able to partner with Cliff Dwellers, again, private club, to provide an event to raise funds for the arts by having people have a lunch with the Knights. So you wouldn't think of airplanes as an art event, but airplanes supported an art club that will support artists. And then, of course, we had a lot of very aspiring young artists who were there taking photographs and doing pictures and that type of thing. It was quite impressive. And I see two people from Harvard, downtown Chicago, doing something like that, and I just think, boy, wouldn't you want to bring those people back a little closer and have them try and incorporate some of the things that they do and they know and that they see, if we could get that done? I mean, maybe we can't get the Golden Knights here, but what if we can find a way with everyone who we know and we network and we can bring a little more arts? But we don't have a committee to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone has time for another committee, so we just, that was something that came to my mind. So there's the discussion. Again, know what I want, know what I'm looking at, don't know how to go about starting it.
So I'll just interject that, there has been a desire to create an art and culture commission or committee. The idea of a commission would be that you could also incorporate citizens at large instead of just city council members, and have that advisory committee be advisory committee to the city council for arts and cultural issues and events and such. So I think the only thing that has really stopped us is making the decision to create the commission and having someone, because we would definitely need someone on council to chair that. So what I'd suggest is,
I know, me and my big mouth.
well, I would suggest query the council members and see who would be interested in serving on this commission, and then we would then create the commission by and seeking outside members at large that would be interested in being appointed to the commission.
I guess what I can commit to do is to look at other communities that do have such a commission and see how they're structured.
Sure.
Because having been involved in Harvard Harmony, which is a 503C, my first thought is that something we want to do? Because then the commission is on its own, or does it want to be a part of the city? So I can do some investigating on that prior to bringing that up, and I can certainly start investigating the people I know in the community who may find this something they want to see.
If you feel you need some staff assistance with that, the COW meeting was the first introduction Joe had to our strategic vision, and after the meeting, she expressed interest in helping with the arts and culture as well through her recreation in the Parks Department.
Awesome. Oh, look at that. I think I might have our first member. Okay. So that was the first thing.
Okay.
When we go to page 2, increased number and variety of downtown businesses. Mayor, I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to answer it, of course, but how would you describe the relationship the current city staff and council has with the Harvard Chamber of Commerce currently?
With the Harvard Chamber of Commerce, I think we have a pretty good relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's because over the years, it can
It
ebb and
has
flow.
ebbed and flowed for
Yes.
certain.
Yeah.
So I'd say, and today, as we sit, we have a very good relationship.
Okay, that's, because as we look at increase the variety of downtown businesses, I think what the council is doing with the revolving loans is great. I think more people downtown will help. I also think, again, those rah-rahs, I think what we're doing with naturally McHenry County is phenomenal. I think we underutilize our public transportation, meaning the train. And I think we also don't look enough to up north over the border and the number of people that we get who come down to use our train. And I just think maybe those are things that if we could get together with some of the business people, maybe the Chamber of Commerce. I happen to have a very good relationship with Visit Lake Geneva folks. I'm not afraid to make introductions or, suggest things or buy coffee. But I think we need to look, Visit Lake Geneva, Walworth County just had their study done, and I'm sure McHenry County has one. But they were close to $1 billion in tourism in Walworth County. Now, obviously, McHenry County's, that's not us. However, if we could just take just a little bit of that $1 billion that they're doing up there for any of those people who take the train and have them spend a little money here and let them know we have things here. And, we have to make people aware. So,
The one area I would suggest in specifically to Lake Geneva area is Lake Geneva area is great for playing during daylight hours because it's outdoors. There's the path around the lake. There's all the lake activities. Everything is water related, but there is not very much of a nightlife.
unless you're 22 bachelorette.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's,
So, that might be an opportunity in terms
that
of
dies
the
once
future.
after summer ends.
Yeah.
Yes. So there may be some opportunity for some synergy there.
Yeah.
For certain, if you look back in our history, there used to be a rail car that went from here to
Yeah.
Geneva. And I have also agree with you, have stated, we need to find a way to partner with that area because we're not very far. And certainly many of the people who might go to that area, I know for certain, families who might be staying there, their kids are coming, so they'll come to the train to Harvard, they'll drive down to Harvard and pick them up, and then they'll drive back.
Exactly.
So there's certainly lots of people going through our community to the Lake Geneva area. How to
Definitely drive through Harvard.
exactly.
I know the Starbucks is going to be, believe it or not, I think the Starbucks is going to be one of those great things.
Oh,
If
great.
they take this, take the scenic route, drive through Harvard, you can go to Starbucks, and then maybe, again, if we can have some arts or culture, Star Lines open, whatever, we can have that. But again, I think utilizing our Metra system and thinking not just south of us, but also north of us could help us bring more people into our downtown and make it more vibrant.
I totally agree.
Again, how we do that, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
Even people from Winnebago come to the train station because they don't have one there yet, even though they keep saying there's going to be one.
Again, and it's that catch-22. Oh, we'd love to stick around Harvard and come a little early if there was something to do, but, if there's nothing to do, we're not going to come early. And,
Yeah.
well, we'd love to open up a business if we knew there'd be people coming here, but we don't know if there'll be people coming here. So we've got this, and if we can figure out some way to get that synergy going, even if it were in the form of pop-ups, I think back to the chamber, coming full circle here, having our farmers market, even though it's not much farmers anymore, but having, the outdoor festivals when we don't have the businesses. McHenry, of course, has done their incubators and pop-ups and that kind of thing.
Fremont Street,
yeah.
Las Vegas.
Don't talk about an outdoor band. I was in Switzerland.
I was thinking more like Fremont Street.
Well, I was
for the bands on the street.
well, I was
And
just,
the dancing girls walking by. Well, a little bit more clothes on though.
we were just in Switzerland, and they
You get a lot
had,
more people coming. A lot of guys anyway.
they had a busker fest. Does everyone here know what the term busker means? Because in America, we call it something totally different. Because in America, it doesn't have a very flattering term. It's street performers. So people think of beggars. But in Bern, I was there a weekend, they had a huge busker fests. And the
Okay.
way the busker fest worked is you bought a wristband. If it was a $10 wristband, it supported the festival itself. If you bought a $20 wristband, it supported the festival and a certain part went to the artists. And then you could just choose maybe to buy one or the other, and then they still passed the hat. They had over 600 different performers from around the world at this festival. Doing things, of course, some things we could never do in America, like they had this old barrels that they made into a merry-go-round that this guy pedaled. I mean, the Skinners would just be like shrieking to see, the tetanus shots that would be involved with this. But again, you say music in the streets, Saturday afternoons,
I was thinking more evening.
or Saturday
because
evening.
if you think about it, if I go to Woodstock, the whole square is full on the weekends. You come to Harvard, it's all dead.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was something we can liven up the downtown like on the weekends where people can interact with other people,
Even when they,
I-
I like
I-
that idea. A band, when you get, we know the train schedule.
If you had like a band on the
Three-piece
street
band.
or something, more activities in downtown.
Yeah, I like it.
How does the Park Foundation advertise Day of the Dead? Nationally, McHenry County? Okay. So if there's, right, opportunity to advertise to the north as well. Bring some of that traffic down here for some of those events. Moving forward, something to think about. Yeah, we don't. Until you brought it up, we really don't. We go east, but we don't ever go north
And
or
we need
west,
to
right?
think that, we look at Lake Geneva, everyone looks at Lake Geneva, as the tourist location. But there are people who work in the hotels there and in the restaurants there. And they would probably be very interested, many of them, in a Day of the Dead celebration. We just need to figure out how to reach them. Now, I know with Visit Lake Geneva, in order to advertise on their sites, you need to be involved with them. I know that I just was at a meeting this morning, and there was maybe we could put some of the stuff on the Wisconsin tourism page. Maybe there's something reciprocal. I don't know. I could certainly ask. What's the worst they're going to do is say no.
Yeah.
The worst they could do is charge us full price.
Never ask, you never receive.
Yeah.
That's how I tell my kids.
So actually, I'm going to make a point I met the gentleman today because he said the website was going to go down in 30 days. So if we had anything for the fall, they really wanted fall programming on it before their website went down for maintenance. So maybe. Coming up. Let's chat afterwards.
Can I?
I told her you wanted to speak with her, so.
You call me.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Do you have other comments?
I think I've taken up enough of the committee's time for tonight. The only other thing was, with housing and neighborhoods, I've mentioned this, I mentioned this at the last, I don't know if it was this meeting or the city council meeting, and this would be a zoning thing, and this would be a real out-of-the-box thing. I just look at how I grew up, and I had the wonderful opportunity to talk to someone on our police force about this, who said, wow, Annamarie, I never thought of it that way. And when we talk about true mixed housing, and we look at the older sections in Harvard where you have a 2-unit next to a bunch of single-family homes, when we build stuff like that, we don't do that now. We segregate everything. And when I mentioned this to the police officer, how, we felt that growing up, that integrated cultures to help create a more positive environment, he's like, no, and he started giving me examples, and I'm like, that's not the same. And then finally he relented and said, well, I guess you're kind of right, because we don't get called to places that are doing okay. And the places you're all talking about are doing okay. And we don't pay attention to those. So again, finding a way, as we get new subdivisions in and that type of thing, to maybe present that and think, and I'm not afraid to do that at all. I have years of experience in that, to talk about thinking maybe a little outside of the box and being a little bit more progressive with those types of things.
And I think we probably align a lot in our thinking. Turtle Crossing is about the closest thing in terms of the more modern subdivisions, because it is a mixture of single family and duplexes.
Yep.
But what I would say is, if you do any research in history, suburbia really kind of created the zoning maps that we have today.
It did.
Right? Because and we could go in a very long discussion that we could probably have better over a beer, but essentially, when the inner city moved out to suburbia, they wanted a piece of land, and they wanted kind of more planned community and segregation by the type of housing. So single-family homes only, duplexes or multifamily only, and they wanted those separated, and then industrial, and then commercial. And so if you go into any major city, you'll see it is truly mixed zoning, because you can walk down the street, single-family home, apartment complex, single-family home, a small mom-and-pop grocery store, single-family home, oh, there's a TV store. Like, it's all mixed together. And in those kind of societies, it actually works very well, because when you have commercial retail and housing in the same location, during the day, the businesses are full of people who are watching all of the residents that are empty because they're all at work. And it comes to a point where they're like, there's someone over at that apartment over there, and I don't recognize them. And the reverse is true in the evening when the businesses are closed. All the families still live in and around the businesses and know the light's on in that business. What's going on? And it creates this better amount of community that you're speaking about, versus in suburbia, we kind of go into our house and now we're, maybe we speak to our neighbor on either side once in a while, but we don't really have that sense of community that you do in those type of zoning areas. I don't know what the answer to that is, because it's really about zoning.
Right.
And a mindset that, most communities have adopted to have specific zoning areas for single family, because I don't want apartments next to my house. And the adage has always been, well, that'll bring down my property value if that multifamily house is near my single family house. And if you do the research, you'll find that that's not really true. It's a myth. I'll get off my soapbox, but I do agree with what you say. And I think, there might be opportunity for council to consider these types of things when we have another planned community.
Right, and again, that's all, I just want to plant the seed as we talk about it, because if someone doesn't start the change will never start. And,
To give you an example, I think, having like local mom and pop, whether it's a 7-Eleven store that's operated by a private business owner, entrepreneur, franchisee. But imagine in some of these neighborhoods, instead of having to go all the way out to Walmart, if there was a small convenience store in their neighborhood.
so a great example of that we're overlooking right now is let's look at La Rositas. And we built those beautiful townhomes over there. And then there are smaller, single-family homes.
What's this at?
La Rositas, right over by the bank, just off of Ayer Street.
Right over here, La Rosita
The,
grocery store.
Oh, okay.
yeah, the grocery store.
By Starline, all those, she's talking about the townhomes by Starline.
You can look at the little, what is it, the corner shop that is on the corner of, what is that, Church and 14, little corner store? That little business does a ton of neighborhood walk-in business from around the neighborhood. Why? Because it's in walking distance.
Actually, they do like $1 million a year.
They do a ton of business.
Because I asked the guy, one of the managers there once, he told me like 900 or something. I go, really? That little store? I couldn't
Imagine if
believe
there
it.
was a smaller store like that located on Airport Road right next to Shadow Creek.
Yeah.
It would be a neighborhood store, mom and pop shop, but right now that's not permitted because it's not zoned for that.
Right, and again, that's all, if we look at, again, I think of those, those townhomes do not turn over. I don't know if you realize, I believe only one has sold since they've been built. So that tells you that the people who own it see value there, whether they are living them themselves or renting them out. And, it's very convenient, right by the train. And again, that was, before the crash and all that good
Oh,
stuff.
you talking about the townhouses by across from Starline?
Yeah,
Oh, actually, I lived in one.
did you?
When I got divorced, I was like the first one in the place.
Those are great.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was only $1,000 a month at the time. It was nice, but
Yeah, but
what it is
you
now.
know, that's the kind of housing that a teacher starting their first or second year could move into and would be proud to move into and say, hey, I could actually take that new bike trail up to the school.
So like the mayor said, if we get another subdivision, we can try and do that.
And now I will shut up for now.
Actually, while you're on the subject with the stores down and apartment up, or whatever you're talking, I just moved my daughter a couple of weeks ago in Madison, but they have a commercial downstairs and they got 3 stories of apartments up above it. And it looked pretty nice, worked out. It's a really nice place.
Now you guys
So it
want
works.
any more on this? You want to move on to the next page?
Sorry.
You had vibrant community, thriving economy. Did we talk any about that?
I think that's where we're at next. Is establish a best practice business retention and develop a program. And then partner to build a business incubation program / space. It's been talked about, but we haven't gone forward with any of that. Anything more with the more road building with that? I knew we've talked about trying to do incubation space in there and everything.
So, no, nothing's moved forward with that. The spaces that I think they would like us to use is borderline availability because they don't have fire suppression in that part of the
In
building.
that part, okay.
So we've not really explored any more over there yet.
All right. And some of this is also once we get a new director and it's going to help us.
Sure, of course, yes. And that person might have some ideas that we've not yet thought about, and depending on where they come from.
How's that going anyway?
Well, I'll give you an update on that. So we did interview a couple of candidates, and there were, I think, 7 total candidates. 2 were kind of immediately didn't qualify. 2 actually did qualify, but they came with let's just say, issues that I didn't feel we should consider because of past issues that they were dealing with from other municipalities. Didn't want to get into an issue where we want to find the right person for our community. And then the other two candidates, we had found one candidate that was pretty qualified. Recognize that we were looking for a person that could wear two hats: economic development and community development. Those are two different, very different roles. And Donovan was kind of a unicorn in that way.
He was pretty good.
Yes, I think so. I think he did this pretty good for while he was here. Would have liked to seen what more he could have done had he stayed. So the one candidate who I thought maybe would be very good for both roles accepted an offer before we even could really interview him. So he got snapped up pretty quick because he met a lot of criteria. The other two candidates that I did have formal interviews with, they either have one or the other. They don't have both. And so that means that, based on what we've seen so far, I think we're probably going to have to reconsider how we post this position and put our priorities on one or the other. And truthfully, the priority right now needs to be on community development versus economic development. And the reason I say that is because we really need someone that's managing all the permits and all that. And Ann has done a fantastic job kind of carrying that load, but that's not really her primary role. And so we really need to find that person. Because that person and because of that change that we might need to do, which might require some organizational change to accommodate, because I don't have enough money to hire two people. I really want to get the city administrator in place, and so we've got two candidates we're going to be looking at next month that the admin committee is going to be interviewing. I really want to get that person into the role because that person needs to be integral part of the solution we find for economic and community development, because they're the person that's going to be running the organization, and I really want their buy-in into what we decide to do, because they might have more ideas than I do how to address the issue. In the meantime, thank goodness we've got fantastic staff who have stepped up and kind of filled these roles. Deb has been doing a very good job as interim city administrator, and Ann has kind of been loaded down with a bunch of stuff for community development. And the economic development, a lot of the stuff you've seen has been kind of in a pause at the moment, but Deb and I have been working on those things where we can. So I anticipate we will go back out for a new, advertise for a new role or position to fill that position after we hire the city administrator, because I really want that person in the role first. So this meeting, you will have another meeting in October. Hopefully by October we have that person in place, and then we could start the search for filling that role and understand what the organization will look like. So that's the update. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure.
You guys have any on this page or no for right now?
I have a thought. Is there any possibility that you could do the business incubation like in the old Walmart or even in a section of Sullivan's and just do it kind of similar to how McHenry did it, where you hit individual spaces until they branch out on their own?
Well, as a matter of fact, it is a possibility. One of the things Deb was trying to reach out to the current holder of the building, I guess the whoever's in charge of moving the building, and there is a possibility like something like that could happen at there, but we need to talk to them and understand, what could we do, how could we create this, and it might require also an investment, an outside investor, or maybe we could use CDBG money to help us. So there's a lot of ways that we might be able to generate some funding to help do that. But we need a location, and that location would certainly work if we can make it work. The first part is we need to understand from the property owner where they stand today, because the building is now, they've owned it now for two and a half years now, and it's not moved. So they might be more willing to work with the city on kind of out of the box thinking than they were maybe 2 years ago. So that's kind of where we are. Outside of that,
What was the store for? But what?
for incubator site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I missed that
incubator
first
space
part.
where you
Okay.
can help entrepreneurs
Okay,
kind of
right, right.
start up their company
I
and then.
understand all
Like a
that.
tone.
I just didn't catch the first part.
No
you
problem.
said.
We think that might be a good opportunity to try and do that. Other than that space, maybe along the lines with the downtown redevelopment plan and a TIF, that might enable us to acquire a piece of property that we could do incubation in. Just kind of thoughts on where that might happen.
I see all the property adjacent all the way around it is all contract pending over there. Something.
Oh, the farmland, yes,
Yeah.
the Hurleys, I think, have it under contract for another farmer to buy it.
Yeah, it's been like that since beginning in the spring.
Wow.
So,
Something big was going there.
I don't believe those two parcels are in the city's limits, though.
No, it's just on the edge.
Yep.
Yeah, it's part.
Yeah.
And then the next one is housing in neighborhoods, and we've kind of hit on this, and it's more once we get a director in that kind of help us with this to kind of.
I can tell you that, we continue to see small builders building in Harvard, and we are starting to hear, I was, a larger developer contacted me actually today, and so just reached out. Don't know much about them other than what I saw on their website, but we're trying to schedule a meeting to discuss with them what they might be interested in doing. They're looking for investment in several places within Illinois, and our community kind of hit their attention. So.
All right.
Did you let them know about the auction on October 16th at the Moose at 10 o'clock?
We've not yet been able to speak, so.
Oh, okay.
But that's possible. What was the day of that?
October 16th at 10 o'clock at the Moose.
Okay.
Auction of the land between Oak Grove Crossing and Bayberry Street.
That's right.
Two parcels.
Other developers been advised of that as well?
The auction guy was going to reach out to bigger developers for that. I let all the local people know about it.
Perfect.
Anything else? You guys want to add anything? No?
Oh,
With
before
for
you-
this one right here.
Oh,
All right, for new business, this is one thing I kind of reached out to Ann about it already a little bit. It's just seeing, especially now since we are getting more people interested in actually putting these, renting out the apartments in downtown over the stores, which I call taxpayers, my line of work. Especially I want to see something we can look at, especially with, because I know over 5,000 square feet for residents over a building, a business, you have to have a fire alarm system. I would like to kind of see something, especially if they have to be renovated, like totally remodeled, because they're not to, have these apartments, people living in them. Definitely have to require to make an ordinance where they have to put at least a fire alarm system and it might not have to be sprinkler, but at least a fire alarm system that activates and goes to, a monitoring company that will go to dispatch and dispatch fire departments. And the reason why is because people sleeping above those, and there's a business that starts on fire, and there's nothing to alert them. It's not going to be good. It's a life safety issue. I know there's buildings right now grandfathered in because of the current one, but I'm saying if everything that we're trying to do right now, if this TIF especially goes through and people trying to remodel everything, they have to make them up to code for the structure of the building. I think they should have a fire alarm system at least installed. Most communities have that now for their downtown businesses with apartments above them. So
It's a good idea, but it's going to be dependent on the code. Like I was trying to explain to you, certain square feet requires it, but it's depends on what the business is underneath. It's kind of convoluted. It's not straightforward, 5,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's, my understanding, just from Chicago businesses that I know, it really depends upon the business that's underneath. For example, if you
Like
have
a restaurant or
or-
something.
Yeah, if you have a
Right.
restaurant, I know one place where a friend of mine has her kiln and pottery shop and that kind of thing in her, at the downstairs, so she has to have that because there is, a higher risk. But, if downstairs you have an insurance building, that's, and again, depending on the square footage, if all you have is an insurance company or some type of service business, and I know that's not what we're going for, but right now that's what we have. And of course, the other thing is just the expense to the business owners.
Right.
If the
Yeah, the
zone-
sprinkler systems are so expensive.
I didn't say sprinkler
You gotta get an
system, I said
engineer.
fire alarm system.
Oh, yeah.
So and it's not actually, it is investment, but also insurance. If you have a fire alarm system, the insurance will go way down because of that. And yes, you're correct on some businesses, but also you can put that in with it. You can adopt that code that's in the life safety code to incorporate that.
I thought you were talking specifically about sprinklers. I didn't.
No,
Okay,
the fire
just
alarm.
fire alarm.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because that still alerts everyone
Mhm.
in the whole building.
So the smoke detectors, interconnected ones.
I'm pretty sure a lot of those buildings are not connected
I
and
mean,
wired
if you
together.
do new ones.
And
Yeah, if they're remodeled, they'll be required to be hardwired.
I still think we should look in there and come back, direct staff, come back and look at that, and we can have that in the next meeting to talk about that even more. Because it is a good thing to have with a fire alarm system, not a suppression system, fire alarm system. There's two different things. Suppression system,
Actually, Angelo's put one in his place. He thought he had to have one. He put it in and didn't have to have one. He spent thousands of dollars for nothing.
Well, it's not necessarily for nothing.
No, it's
Well, he
definitely
doesn't
not.
use it.
It's insurance, right? So, we'll take a look at that and then, bring a proposal to the committee to review.
That's it for my new business. Anyone else?
Actually, I do have one thing. You talking about having a vibrant downtown. I don't like I'm kind of a pro-business, but by Hillmilda there, they got those slots, that slot flag there, right by the cow. You see, where the slots, it's in the garden. I think that looks awful. I mean, I see advertised, but it shouldn't be in the flower bed.
banner flag?
Yeah, there's a banner flag right in the flower bed, right by the cow. That looks awful. People want to take pictures of the cow and stuff like that, and they got a big slot flag there. And it's not really in front of their building neither, really.
It's on city property.
So I don't know what I think we should do something there just to clean it up.
I think you just did.
Well, I'm just saying, I just thought I'd bring it up,
Yeah.
because sometimes you don't notice it.
You have the code enforcement right there.
Yeah, I know, but I just thought it was a good reminder, remember now.
Anyone else? Mayor, anything?
I've got nothing.
Annamarie?
Good.
Deb?
I'm good, thank you.
Any motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.